Our scars tell stories. And some of those stories we want to share, and some of those stories we don't want to share. The best thing that I've ever learned about my own scars is that I don't have to keep telling myself the same story when I look at them. I encourage you to look at your scars, embrace the story, process it, and be open to changing it.
I struggle with a lot of things, but one of the main things that I've struggled with is anger and forgiveness at times. I don't want to be an angry person walking around, but it's hard for me to forgive without forgetting, if that makes sense. I've struggled with anger ever since I was a child. I had a mother who was, she was a wonderful mother in her own way. However, she had a lot of anger issues, and she actually struggled with mental illness. And that played a major role in my upbringing. So she struggled with bipolar disorder. So, she would have very, very high mood swings. Like one minute she's very happy, joyful, and the next minute she's very angry, upset, depressed, can't get out of bed. But the thing with anger is that anytime there was a situation, even going back to when I was a child and I used to bring it to her attention, she would get so angry. And sometimes I used to think that when she got angry, it was uncalled for because I'm a child. I didn't know any better. Kids are learning. We're all still learning. But she would just really lash out, talk to me any old type of way, and it really manifested into my adult life. So that not to put the 100% blame on her, but because I am an adult, and it's time that I start taking responsibility for my own actions, which is why I'm seeking anger management as we speak. But her anger and the way she was directed on me has definitely affected into my adult life, because sometimes I would overreact in situations. Sometimes I would speak before I think and not realize that my words were cutting people. So amongst all the big struggles, it would definitely be anger and forgiveness, because I want to be happy and I want to move forward, and you can't do that until you let go of what was done.
I live with mental health challenges, and a lot of those challenges that I have, particularly my depression, anxiety, and obsessive compulsive disorder, actually began with scars. And we call those scars trauma, I guess. And it's interesting because when I use the word scars, I think of something that you can actually see on someone's body, which is the result of a wound that is healed. And what people don't realize is that we all have scars that manifest in different ways, not just physical. Sometimes they are actually invisible and you can never see them. And for me, my challenges started when I was a kid. And the scars came from stuff with my family relationships. I had a wonderful family growing up. My mother and my father loved me, and my brother. And at the same time, my parents did the best that they could, just like most other parents, I do believe. But there were different things in our dynamics that made it hard for me to process emotion. And a lot of times I felt like I got shamed for things that I would do or say. And it made me really develop this shell around my emotions so I would never show who I truly am to the world out of fear of getting hurt. So I carry around these emotional scars that affect my relationships on all levels and all areas of life. And that is how I have been scarred.
I struggle with, I guess, a number of sort of dysphoria related feelings. I guess I should start by saying I'm trans. And so I do have some gender dysphoria to this day. And I have struggled with this probably for, well, my whole life. So I have done a lot to kind of mitigate it, but it's definitely something that's still something that's part of my life because it's just always going to be there. And it's still kind of random. I'm not sure when it's going to come up. It's kind of just a sort of just whenever it happens. And some of the effects that it's had have been kind of unexpected. So there have been a lot of sort of surgeries and a lot of procedures I've had that have had sort of surprising effects on me that haven't been exactly predictable. I've just had to deal with a lot of curveballs that I feel like I never entertained the idea of, really. Obviously, a lot of things were very resolving and really kind of did answer a lot of the problems, but some little parts of my dysphoria I think are just still gonna exist, and I just have to figure out how to deal with it.
ADHD, emotional dysregulation, impulse control, distraction, and obsessing about stupid people and, from the past and stupid situations from the past, which I have a hard time of letting go of.
So I struggle with bipolar 1. I was diagnosed 12 years ago, and that sort of opened the door to leading to self-harm. I also had bulimia. I had still have some appearance, image issues, self-love issues. My highs are really high. My lows are really low. I've been in and out of hospitals for the past decade, probably. And the cutting is really what took off when I was 17 years old. I attempted suicide and was hospitalized for multiple months. And ever since then, it's just kind of been coping and healing.
I struggle with a panic disorder, and I've had it for a really, really long time.
A few things I struggled with growing up was the idea of how a man should act, like what a man should do around people, or how to take care of the family, or how to help the people around you.
I guess this started probably from birth. I mean, it's been part of my life, my whole life, because I mean, I've always been trans, so it's always been there in some way, I think. I've always known I was a girl, and so I've always known, just like any other girl, that, I'm a girl. So it's always just been clear to me that what I was experiencing was very kind of unique. It wasn't how other people appeared in media and just in my life. I was very kind of alienated feeling, kind of just didn't feel like I could relate to anyone in my life on the level that, on a real level. So it probably started when I was, since I was born, but also a lot of the steps that I had to take to really become what I always knew I was sort of affected me in ways I wasn't really prepared for, like surgeries, having however many 4 surgeries within 8 months just kind of felt like a bomb went off and I just had to put the pieces back together, and it just obviously felt different, and I thought it would.
I think it exacerbated when I was a teenager. It started in high school, but it got worse when I was a teenager. And they said I had a learning disability. They said I had a perceptionally impaired. They had all kinds of names for it. Ultimately, one person I met with said I had a thought disorder, which made sense because around that time I was I believed that other people were receiving thoughts from my mind, and they were telepathically receiving messages from me inadvertently, and they were all making fun of me. So that's kind of like a schizophrenic delusion. And part of me still believes that was true, and it's sometimes still is true.
This all started when I was about 12 years old. That's when I cut for the first time, and it didn't really take off until I was about 17 when I did try to kill myself. I ingested a bunch of alcohol, I took a lot of pills, and I was hospitalized for about 5 months. And now, being in my 30s, I've come a really long way. Every day is a struggle, every day is a battle, but I'm getting through it.
Furthest back I can remember, it started about the time I was 8, in like the 3rd grade. My parents would probably say otherwise, but that's just as far back as I can remember.
So this started off at a really young age. At the time, my mom and dad were divorced at the time, so the only oldest in the house was my older brother, who was 6 or 7. So all the responsibility lied on him. So he had to cook, take us to school, and other stuff like that. So most of the time, he was the one taking care of me and my younger siblings.
One of the things that I struggle with is realizing that humans are fallible. We're not God. God is the only person who's perfect, but we're humans. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to piss people off just like other people would piss us off. So with struggling with anger, I would often get so angry. I wouldn't think about killing or hurting anybody, but I would just be so frustrated, like, oh, why don't you get it? And it also caused me to be impatient because I'm so used to getting what I want when I want it. And, living in a society where we're affected by instant gratification, it's so easy to it's so many ways to get what you want when you want it. So when I struggle with anger, I also struggle with impatience, which is something that I've struggled with since I became an adult. Whether it's going in the morning, driving to work, and I got to sit in traffic, and I hate sitting in traffic. I would turn on Waze, I would turn on Google Maps. Like, what is the quickest way for me to get to work? Because I don't feel like waiting in this. But even working in customer service at work. Now, customer service is one of the toughest jobs. And that role requires you to have self-control and patience, which is two of my biggest struggles at times. So, whether a customer gets nasty with you and you have to try not to take it personal, but then again, it's like, well, I'm a human being too. I have feelings too. So I'm going to put you in your place and I'm going to tell you like it is. And, if you want to keep a job, you can't do that. Whether you're working with the public or people within, your colleagues within the organization. So patience, being impatient and being so quick to lose self-control and get angry, that definitely has had a major effect on me. I would catch myself being snippy with people. I'm very sarcastic. So, like, okay, I'll give you a quick story. So I remember one person coming in. I work for a travel agency. And, mainly my organization that I work for currently is mainly known for road service, but we do have a travel agency and we do have other departments. But one customer came in and said, hey, I want to book a trip. So I asked, well, what type of trip is it? Is it domestic or is it international? And I have to ask these questions in order to get them to the right person. And then next thing you know, I don't know. And I'm a person that struggles with hiding my facial expressions because it's like, how you come up in here and not want to know what you want to book? Come on now. And I try to be more patient. I feel like God is placing me to that point where, like, look, you need to be more patient. So I'm gonna test your patience in order. It's like exercising the spiritual muscle. You pray and you ask God, help me to be more patient, help me to be more like you, be more kind, and he sends you through a whole bunch of tests to help you get to where you want to be. And oh my God, it's like, okay. So I said, well, I need to know, I have to have an idea of what you want to do in order to get you to the right person. Oh, well, you mean to tell me no one can help me? Did I say anyone can't help you? And that's where my struggle with curbing my tongue and thinking before I speak comes into play. Because I've always been the type of person that's like a no-nonsense person. But I don't want to be seen as a mean girl because I'm really not a mean person. I have a zero tolerance for nonsense. But at the same time, I do want to be, I don't want to struggle with patience and anger anymore because some stuff isn't that serious and some stuff you could just laugh about, even though it gets on your nerves, but hopefully it gets better.
My struggle with mental health challenges has impacted my life on so many levels. It's made it difficult to have healthy relationships and friendships. It's made it really difficult for me to manage my own behavior in relationships. That's one of the things I've learned about myself, is that a lot of times I feel threatened. So I can't always explain why. A lot of times it's when things are going good in a relationship with someone, and I feel as though things are going good and they're going to hurt me. That's my big fear, is that people are going to hurt me. Because when I was younger, I got hurt emotionally, and I'm still working on those wounds. And so nowadays it manifests through challenges in relationships, like I said. And I put up a wall, and sometimes that wall includes silent treatment. Sometimes it's emotionally abusive behavior. And that is the result of the scars that I carry around from childhood. But the cool thing is I'm working on it. I'm taking steps to work on it so I can get through each day better. For instance, I'm going to therapy, and in therapy, I'm learning to identify my emotions, which has been the hardest thing I've ever had to do, and to also look at how I bury my emotions sometimes. And even though I might think I'm feeling a certain way, sometimes I realize that I'm actually feeling a totally different way, but I've buried it. And again, that's all due to these scars that I've carried. But therapy has been really helpful because it's given me new tools and it's creating this safe zone for me to talk about these things that are on my mind. So I'm really grateful for my wonderful therapist. Also, I have a support group of people who've been through their own emotional scars, and so I've got peer support, and that's a wonderful thing to have because sometimes, I mean, my therapist is only available at certain times, and she is wonderful with allowing me to contact her in between sessions, but at the same time, I realize that she has a life and other clients. So having the support group is great because I can call people when I'm struggling and have a conversation. And it's not about even them giving me advice. Sometimes just listening really, really helps. So those are some of the ways that I get through day to day. In addition, I've been really just working on self-care. And self-care for me is doing things that are very intentional to help grow myself and to learn about myself. For instance, exercise, really important that I do that every day. Meditation has been a really big one for me, and going out with friends, hanging out with the right people. So these are some of the ways that I practice self-care so I can make it through each day.
It's made it a lot harder. Part of me feels like I'm not living like a normal person because I can't, it's hard to go out or eat food or do anything especially in public without kind of freaking out. It doesn't get bad all the time, but I just feel like I don't really get to live my life the way I want to.
My struggle has affected my day-to-day life because I don't have the same sense of self anymore. I don't see myself the way I used to, which is good because I didn't want to see the way I used to when I saw my body, and I just didn't really identify with it. It was just like, that's not me. And so I guess that now things are a lot more as I would really, I relate to myself better now. Yet also my sense of self is kind of different now. So it's kind of like I'll look at myself and certain things change that I didn't really know were going to change. Obviously, my main goal of being female was the goal, and that was accomplished, but what I feel like wasn't accomplished was really maintaining my identity through it, because I sort of had an identity crisis and having my nose done, which was, yes, feminizing, but also wasn't really something I could really relate to or feel like was mine. And I would look at my face and I would be I don't know who I am right now. And it was a real dilemma. And it's been a matter of 5 years. And I'm just working on it. I'm just getting to a point where I can sort of feel okay, I think. I think it's just time is the only thing that's gonna heal it, as they say.
My struggles affect me on a day-to-day basis. It can be debilitating, especially when I have like a manic episode or a depressive episode. I mean, usually a depressive episode follows a manic episode. So daily, if I'm triggered by anything, I'll have that urge to cut. And it stems from this place of wanting to punish myself, wanting to hurt myself, because I hated myself.
It's been better lately in recent years than it was, say, I don't know, 5 years ago, which was 2014. I think that was the worst year of my life. And the anxiety was through the roof, and the obsessing was the worst it had ever been, and it went on and on and on. I couldn't wake up in peace, for over a year or more.
And the struggle for me is like how to cope with it. Like I'm coping with it like piece by piece as I grow up. Normally when I like talk to my friends and all that, they always say, "Oh, my dad helped me with this. My dad helped me with that." And then for me, like he wasn't really around, so I can't really like, I wouldn't say fit in, but I can't really like connect with them because my dad wasn't really there back then. So I had to learn it like by myself and with my siblings.
Woo, Jesus. That's how I get through it every day. Jesus. Yeah, I gotta pray. I really, really gotta pray. I have to really talk to the Lord before I go into work, when I come out of work, when I feel the tension arising. Oh my damn. I have to talk to the Lord. That's what gets me through the day. Now, well, that's what gets me through every day. Now, some people, they look at, Christianity as religion, but me, I'm a person that's big on having a relationship with God and, being intimate with him and having those deep conversations, asking him for strength to deal with this and to deal with that. So that's how I get through the day, because Lord knows without him and without a relationship with him and without his strength to help me to be patient and to deal with difficult people, and I myself can be difficult at times. So in order to deal with myself, is God. I owe it all to God. I can't lie.
I stopped liking what the cutting did for me. I think I reached this higher place of thinking, of stepping outside of myself and really seeing that it was no way to live. I had the realization that I couldn't live like this forever. I couldn't continue harming myself forever. It was affecting my friends and my family, and seeing them, how I treated them, how my struggles affected them, put in perspective that I have to deal with this on a daily basis.
I'm not really sure when things actually turned around. In fact, to be honest with you, I feel like they're constantly turning around in small ways, so it's not one big thing. And it's funny, just earlier today, I was thinking about how I'm struggling with some new emotional pain. And one of the reasons I'm struggling with it is because I've dealt with some other pain that I've been holding on to for years and finally have processed it. So therefore, I'm able to learn about this new pain that I've also been carrying, but just kept buried. And that's an example of things turning around. So even though it feels like I'm taking a step back, I'm actually taking a step forward. So I think turning things around for me is a constant process that I hope to continue throughout my life.
My struggles are still present. Maybe they sort of don't go away totally. I mean, I feel like I will, make a little progress, and then I'll take 2 steps back, and it's just like I don't know how I'm gonna feel when I wake up all the time. Like I may wake up and feel okay. I may wake up and be like just not like not very, I guess, healthy mentally. So I can't say that I've turned things around totally because I don't think I still have turned things around. Um, I think it's just a matter of time. I think it's really just making mistakes. It's just gonna take a lot of just being with myself and getting used to myself because I don't feel like I can really make a real push towards anything until I have a strong foundation, and I don't really feel like I don't feel like my foundation is really strong, or hasn't been at least. So I guess it's just really trying to come from a place of wholeness and just waiting and being patient.
I don't actually get through every day very smoothly. I don't feel very I feel misunderstood, and I feel rejected, and I am very sensitive to, for some reason. And how did I turn things around? Why am I feeling a little bit better in the past few years? One of the things that has helped me tremendously, and what I want to share with your audience, is something called tapping, known as meridian tapping. And it looks like this.
I get through every day telling myself certain things, telling myself to open myself to the world and feel like I can hate myself a little bit less, be less hard on myself. I used to feel like I was a major burden and I didn't want help. I was in such a deep place where this was the way it was going to be, and I liked it. And I liked where I was. I liked the cutting. It's not that I liked hating myself. It was just comfortable. It was familiar. So reminding myself to have that higher place of thinking that life is more than that.
I asked for help. I've been in therapy for a couple of years, been going through different medications and stuff, and that really, really helped actually, just talking about it. And like when I'm in like crisis mode and like I can't like get to my therapist or anything, like I'll call like my boyfriend or like my grandma or my mom and I'll just do like breathing exercises and stuff, and it usually helps.
And how I get through throughout the day is my mom. She's really a big motivator in my life. She helps me with basically everything, homework, to help me fill out applications for colleges. Just seeing her go through her daily life it just motivates me because it just shows how she perseveres with everything, knowing that she's only a single parent. And I really feel like that's such a huge thing for me because if she's able to do it by herself, why can't I? So I feel like that's really a big impact for me, or she's like a really big role model for me.
If I can tell those who struggle with the same things that I've struggled, I would say number one, develop a relationship with God, because nobody can give you strength like Him. And as humans, we often tend to think that we can take on the world within our own strength and within our own selves. And I'm here to tell you that you thought wrong. We're humans. We're not about that life, okay?
And for those who are, like me, struggling with mental health challenges, one thing that I encourage everyone, with or without mental health challenges, actually, to do is to learn to have a relationship with their emotions. In our society, it's really interesting. We spend a lot of time focusing on physical things like our health and our fitness level and financial things. We spend a lot of time looking at the mind in terms of learning and education, really important. Spirituality. We do a lot with spirituality, and you have so many religions that you can be a part of and explore spirituality in any way that you want to in this world. But when it comes to the emotions, we like to run away from those. And I have spent most of my life running away from my emotions. Again, I've been scarred really badly. And the thing that I had to learn that I wish others would learn is to learn to sit with your emotions, especially the difficult ones. Because once you begin to do that and show up for your feelings, you realize that difficult emotions are a great teacher. So I encourage you to do that.
For me, I would say, yeah, it's like a big problem to not have a parent in the house with you, but just know that there's friends and family that surround you that can help you. You're not the only one in the world that like suffers with this problem. Just know that there's other people out there that are with you, and just know that that day might be worse, but just know that the next day is going to be better.
If it's one thing that I learned, it's that you can't necessarily overcome it. You can't necessarily overcome your diagnosis, but it's more about living with it. It's about coping. It's about getting through every day in a positive way.
What people don't understand that are suffering from trauma is you're holding it in your organs. You have neurotransmitters not just in the brain, but in the heart and the gut and in all the organs. So the eyebrow is the bladder meridian. The side of the eye is here on the bone. That's the gallbladder meridian. So you can talk out loud about your trauma, about what happened or why you're angry, and start to feel better and start to actually chip away at it and actually resolve it emotionally on some emotional level.
Well, first off, you're not alone. A lot of people struggle with this stuff. It may not be as severe or just like yours, but you're not the only one feeling the way you're feeling. And when it gets really hard to focus on things and it just feels like too much, the feeling isn't permanent.
Another thing, get help. Now, I know so many people, especially within the African American community, is frowned upon to get help for mental illness or even just for anger management, even if it's just counseling, if nothing is mentally wrong with you, but you need somebody who you can unlock and unload to. I'm here for it. I say go for it, because the best investment that you can make is in your mental health and in your spiritual health and protecting your energy. So I would definitely say, please go get help. Do not be afraid to seek therapy or counseling, because again, you can't carry all this baggage around mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally by yourself. These are what these psychologists and mental health professionals are getting paid for. So use them wisely. I would definitely say find a hobby that such as exercising, something that you can release your tension. Like me, I put my anger management to usage, and I developed a new hobby, which is boxing, and I love it because it's the best way to get my anger, get my aggression out. Not only boxing, any type of physical activity where you're using your body, you're exercising your mind, you're building that discipline. Definitely just invest in your physical health. Even if you gotta walk in a park to clear your head, do that. And definitely think before you speak, because words cut people harder than physical wounds. So, physical bruises can heal, but emotional healing, that takes longer. So I say do that.
I would strongly recommend leaning on those who are around you, seeing your friends and family for the support system that they are, even though I know I personally felt like a burden. I took everything upon myself, and I started seeing what that did for me, and it didn't get me very far.
If I can tell someone's struggling with any kind of dysphoria, anyone struggling with just their identity, I would just say to be patient and just give it time, because it may seem unbearable, but if you can just wait it out and stop expecting so much when you're not even feeling whole, that you just can't come from a place of not being complete. And I think that you just need to build your foundation back up again, and that just takes time being with yourself. And it's gonna be tough, because that's just how it feels. So you're gonna have to struggle and feel all those feelings, however that may be, listening to music, being with nature, maybe talking to someone, and really like relating to something or someone. So you're gonna need to do all those things and just wait and just keep doing them, and eventually it's hopefully gonna be a little more bearable.
My advice is to keep working on it. You know, you're gonna have your days where it feels like it's getting worse, but then you're also gonna have your days like it's gonna get better. You feel like it's getting better. I say don't stop working on you. Don't stop seeking for help. Don't stop praying and talking to God. Don't stop reading His Word. Don't stop asking Him for strength and for help and for guidance. Don't stop seeking therapy. Don't stop exercising. Don't stop boxing. Just keep going. Anytime life pushes you really hard, you push back 2 times harder. So it's definitely a fight, survival of the fittest, and just don't give up and reach out to somebody who's actually going through the same thing as you, and establish like some type of relationship, like an accountability partner, so that way you guys can push each other both during this time of struggles.
So you want to talk out loud to the trauma. You want to bring up details of it, and maybe even talk to the person that hurt you out loud. What a lot of people do is they start out with this they call it the karate chop point, and that's also like a central meridian, starting point. They go up here. This person rejected me. Why do I, you sort out your feelings and write it down too. You can write. I do writing and tapping at the same time. This is the eyebrow, side of eye, gallbladder, under eye, stomach meridian, and it's talk therapy, but it's the therapy itself is accelerated. The chin, collarbone. Now, underarm is the spleen meridian. Even if you're a skeptic and you think this is just psychological, that you think there's some kind of placebo, go ahead, try it. See if it helps you when you've got some emotional problems and you're feeling angry or upset about the past. People online will walk you right through it. They'll show you. I know they don't all talk about the organs, like the spleen, the liver. not all of them do that. There's one guy named Robert Gene Smith who does, because he's very in depth. But there's mostly, when you go on the YouTube, you'll find people doing it for all kinds of reasons, especially the ones that I read before, like rejection and grief. But a lot of people are just kind of just want to focus their lives, and they'll practice it, and they'll get somewhere with it, as long as you speak it out loud, and you keep going. You chip away at it, whatever that trauma is. This has helped me tremendously. And if you're going to search for it, it has a couple different names. It's called tapping, but it's also known as meridian tapping and EFT. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And anybody who's suffering from any kind of trauma can benefit from this greatly. I have. And there's even people who have PTSD, who have lost limbs, who benefit from this and start to heal to some degree, as much as possible.
My advice to those struggling with similar issues is just to find a community, find like-minded people who you can relate to. Don't be so hard on yourself. I know it's easier said than done. Try to just be with yourself as much as you can. Just be with yourself in nature, and just be with nature and listen to music, and maybe write music. That's what I like to do. That's one of my best therapies, is just playing music and writing songs.
Nothing is always gonna stay the same. Things are always gonna change. So if you could get past the change and see the good things in life, things are gonna get better. Not everything's gonna be gloomy and sad for you. If you just know that, if you could just forgive and forget, you'll be better off. And just know that throughout life, better things are gonna come.
So if I could tell somebody who's struggling with similar problems that I did, I would not know what to say to them, honestly, because when you're in that place, you don't want to hear from anybody. You don't want the help. I mean, they say that when those who harm themselves is a cry for help. I think that is true. It's not healthy to want to hurt yourself and to want to destroy yourself.
Get help. I know it's really hard to ask for it sometimes, but it's worth it in the end.
It matters. It matters what you say when you tap. You know, you want to be self-forgiving and loving and understanding. And a lot of people will have a setup phrase. The setup phrase will be, even though this person rejected me, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Or even though I feel such tremendous amount of guilt about this situation, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Once you're putting that into your currents, you're putting those words into your currents, it has an accumulative effect. What I mean by that is, it might not be overnight, and it might not work the first time, but it will accumulate. And people like me who have issues with the past can heal greatly and feel a lot better through meridian tapping.
I would also say to stay busy and distracted. During the healing process, I took up violin, I took up guitar, singing. I found solace in art. Um, Even if it's like taking a hot shower when you're feeling triggered, doing anything to get your mind off of it.
Being a spiritually rooted person and being a Christian, I definitely quote Bible verses. It may sound cheesy, but it actually really helps. Like, the more you keep saying it, the more you keep rehearsing it in your mind, the more it will resonate in your spirit. So, what's one verse that I love? Be slow to speak. No, what is it? Be slow to get angry and be quick to listen.
When I think of the word mantra, I actually think of myself in meditation. I practice a style of meditation called transcendental meditation, where I have a mantra that I say to myself in my mind. And I don't share with anyone. It's completely private. And the purpose of the mantra is to relax me and get me into a deeply relaxed state where I can transcend consciousness. Does that happen? I don't know. Maybe sometimes. And the cool thing is, it's something that I repeat over and over again. So when I think of a mantra, I think of meditation, but I also think of affirmations, as I've learned to sit with my emotions and look for insight from the scars that I carry. I have been learning to do affirmations, which are positive, intentional statements that you say out loud over and over again. And sometimes those statements can mean the difference between getting through a tough situation and me having a breakdown. So I think it's really important to monitor your self-talk. And for many people, that simply starts with just a mantra or a statement, and being willing to say that positive statement out loud over and over again. And that is what I think of when I think of a mantra.
Also, sometimes I will look in the mirror and say, you got this. We can do this. We're going to get through this. Sometimes I even talk to God, like, God, give me strength to not kill nobody today. In Jesus' name I pray. That helps me too, believe it or not. You just got to look yourself in the mirror and just keep saying, I'm beautiful, I'm strong, I'm flawed, but give yourself credit and say, every day I'm becoming a better person than I was yesterday. That's a daily affirmation that I would say to myself. I wouldn't do it every day like I should, but this is a reminder that I need to be. But yeah, you just have to keep giving yourself positive self-talk. Like, if someone says you're really stupid, no, I'm really smart. I'm really smart. I just had a dumb moment. We all have dumb moments. We're human. What the hell? So, yeah, just keep giving yourself that positive self-talk. Keep reading the Word of God and letting Him pour into you. And not only that, just pour into Him too, and release all of these thoughts and things that you're struggling with to Him, and allow Him to just allow yourself just to sit there, be quiet, and resonate and take in everything that He says, and just watch everything flow naturally.
My mantra, or the phrase that I like to go by, is, if you're not going to do it, who will? Because by the end of the day, you're your own person. So if you don't do what you have to do, who else is going to do it for you? Because as you grow up, you are going to gain and lose some people, but you're always going to be there. So if you stay positive and do what you have to do, you're going to have a good life.
My mantra is just be real. Don't betray yourself into not believing that you feel the way you do, because are feeling something real, and to just trust yourself and really just be patient. Don't be so hard for yourself, and just give yourself a break.
You have to reach inside and decide that you want to feel better, that you want to be healthy.
It was like, it's okay not to be okay all the time, because like without like all the bad moments, you wouldn't really recognize the happy moments. So
A good mantra to use might be something like, it's not me, it's my ADHD, or something like that, because it's not you. You can forgive yourself. Thoughts are like ice crystals. They're ice crystals, and that are beautifully formed when you put positive words to yourself. You might, and if you don't use positive words, you're breaking those beautiful crystals. You're using negative words, and you're weakening that energy, your energy field, and you're setting yourself up for worse. So learning how to make things better means, and it's not easy, but using words creatively and positively and truthfully, and don't identify with the bad things. Like, don't say, "Oh, I'm so stupid," because or I should have done that, or regret. Forgive yourself. You're not perfect. You're not going to be perfect. It's okay. Use your the power of positive words that heal, and that love, that words of self-love.
So my mantra is, I tell myself 3 things, and one is to let go of the past, let go of negativity, let go of anything that could harm you. I also say to myself to not have fear, don't let fear hold you back. And then my last one is, I tell myself that I'm a warrior because I have walked through fire and come out alive.
My name is Mike Vini, and I have scars.
One day,
Bye.